And my name is George Hacker. The railway's name is GWR. My first thought was to build a railway, and therefore I found in one of the magazines a fellow that designs railways by the name of Lionel Pike. And Lionel came and visited it, and he and I went through some sketches, and we then decided as to what the layout we wanted. We started to build the railway in January of 1996, firstly bringing in some heavy bulldozing equipment and taking the ground down to a level of about 12 feet. And this was because there is a great deal of rain in this area. The last thing we wanted was flooding. So the drainage here is pretty good. Secondly, thermalite blocks are sunk into the ground, and track is then screwed onto the thermalite blocks. We went to a garden design person, and Jennifer had never done a railway, but it was her that came up with the basic layout, which is to bring the trains out through a desert mountain area, put the lake over where the turning loop is, and back over the viaduct and through the conifer forest and back into the bunker again. The trains live in that bunker. We did have a lady come from London who painted a mural on the door, which shows a train and a tunnel and a few other little bits and pieces. And we're now using a lens system to control the trains. The lens system basically puts 24 volts mains current onto the track, constant current to the track. But by putting a computer chip in each of the engines, one can vary by means of a hand controller the speed of each engine, and which thus were the running of more than one train on a single track. A relatively new addition is the waterfall, which has a nice drop, and we think looks pretty nice coming under. The rack railway is a separate railway off to my right. This is much like one would see in Switzerland, and it takes its way up through the conifers and around and back up to a station where it waits on a timer, etc. I might say in conclusion that this has been a lot of fun for all of us. My twins, Neil and Georgina, who will be 4 in December, come here and play constantly under supervision, obviously. It's a great deal of fun.
My name is John Preston, and this is my Leagate Benevolent Railway. And the definition of it is that it's to do good, and it's certainly doing me good, there's no doubt on that. On ill health grounds, I'd retired from the police, and always a lifetime of interest in trains. I was told I wanted to spend all the time in the loft and what have you, where I had a lot of railways in the garage and the loft, and to get out in the garden. So really, I sold the various models and stuff that I had, and it's funded the garden railway, which has enthralled me ever since. Initially, the first part was done in front of the conservatory with a return loop at the top, and then developed onto this side of the garden. I like the concept from the conservatory. You can see the mirrors, and you're actually watching trains on the opposite side of the garden. You're able to see the station, which, because you're seeing parts of the garden you wouldn't be able to see normally. The station's name is called Toot, which is basically so you could see it through the mirror and it still reads right. I have been asked why I've got these grandstands there. But I've told them that everybody comes to Toot, really, so we put the grandstands up. It's funny, when we had an open day, and we had about, it was about 60 people, which were a 3-bedroom detached. Luckily the weather was right. And of all the expensive locals that people had brought, and myself that was running and everything, the one that seemed to give them more enjoyment than anything was a little £3 or £4 toy that I bought at a toy shop.